What's up, Don't Go Out There fans? Myself, Dustin, and Brian, we're all getting together. We all saw the newly released Insidious, The Red Door. We're going to just give our quick, instant reaction. We're going to jump into some spoilers too, so don't listen to this if you haven't seen it yet, or unless you just like having the movie ruined for you and you're one of those people. You can listen to it then if you want to. I'll kick us off with just some general thoughts. Went into it with pretty high expectations just because I would say of the four co-hosts, I'm the biggest fan of the entire franchise. I like pretty much all of them. I mean, certain ones are better than the others, obviously, but I like all four movies. Uh, Patrick Wilson did a great job in his directorial debut. The acting is great, but honestly, I was pretty let down by the movie, and I'll dive into it when we get into our positives and negatives. Brian, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Like you mentioned, I mean, I'm not as much of a fan of the Insidious franchise as you are. In fact, I only really like the first two movies. I'm not and I'm not saying I don't like the third and the fourth one personally. I'm just saying like I don't really. They're just meh. I could do without them. I guess I'm more interested in Patrick Wilson and the Lambert family and their journey. I guess you could say so. This one I really liked it. I won't go into spoilers yet because we haven't got there. But as far there's like subtext and there is like a very good connection that I have with the characters in this movie, and I really it stood out to me. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, Nico, you said you're probably the biggest fan of this franchise of anyone on our show. I am the least fan of this franchise of anyone on our show. I think it's pretty clear when we did the original in our review. I gave it like a 4.75 or something. Like I don't know.
Whew.
The second one I like a little bit more. I think I didn't see the third and fourth, but I know that this one only follows the
Yeah.
first and second one. So I went to see it, and I wasn't disappointed because I had low expectations to begin with. Um, and it makes no sense because I love Patrick Wilson. Rose Byrne is absolutely gorgeous, but she's also a great actress. I like Ty Simpkins. It's got a lot of things going for it. I like Lee Wanell. It's just to me the Insidious franchise is too the storyline is too convoluted. It tries to do too many things at once and kind of makes up rules as it go. I'm a big rules guy. If you're going to establish rules for your villain or for your antagonist, they need to be consistent. Don't just throw them in here and there for convenience sake. And I feel like this movie did it again. It just threw stuff in there that didn't make sense before just for convenience sake. So didn't really like it.
Okay, let's jump into our positives. Like I mentioned earlier, Patrick Wilson's directorial debut, I think it had good direction, really good cinematography. The movie looked really good. The acting is fantastic, as you would expect from a Patrick Wilson, Rose Byrne, like Dustin mentioned. Ty Simpkins, I think, is actually a very underrated actor. If you've seen the movie The Whale, he's fantastic in that. There are some good
Jurassic
jump
World, brother.
scares. What's up?
Jurassic World, brother.
There you
You
go.
think I've seen Jurassic World? Come
Oh
on, be
God.
be honest with yourself. uh, really good jump scares, but only really in the beginning of the movie. Uh, the jump scare when Ty Dalton is painting when he first gets to the college, when the painting like grabs his hand. That's a fantastic jump scare. Scared the shit out of me. The whole audience I was with kind of got one of those little, those moments. I really like that. Uh, and the lipstick demon looks a lot better in this movie compared to the first one. The first one
Yeah.
is way too comic
Yeah.
booky looking.
Darth
Can't
Maul.
really take it serious. Yeah, Darth Maul. Shout out to Star Wars, something I truly love and am passionate about.
Oh yeah,
But
absolutely.
but that's really about the extent of my positives, and I hate to say that because, like I mentioned, I am a big fan of the franchise, especially the first two with the Lambert family. But that's about it, positive wise for me. Brian, what about you?
I think the visuals were fantastic. Let me Sinclair Daniel as Chris Winslow. She stole the show for me. Like I thought she was fucking hilarious, and I did not expect to enjoy that little upbeat kind of character moments that we get with her more than really the rest of it. But okay, listen, my biggest thing isn't even the story. I mean, it's pretty cookie cutter, and I know we're not getting negatives, but I'll just go ahead and say it there. I mean, besides some jump scares, which I thought the jump scares were good, like you mentioned, this thing isn't breaking any new ground or really doing anything you don't really expect. The thing I was really able to latch on to I mean, this is not even it's not even about the demon or the further or whatever, the upside down. This being about strictly the relationship between father and son, with my son getting to be a teenager, I was just able to really relate to this so much that it really put me into this movie and made me feel something and give a shit and care about what was going on in a way that I'm not sure I would have otherwise. Because like I said, looking back on this, it's nothing special, and one could even argue, why was this even made? But I enjoyed it, and it's because of that level I was able to really get to that let me empathize with it, and really I really connected with this movie on a different level. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that it was well acted. However, I think that some of the dialogue wasn't my favorite. I thought some of it's like, people don't really talk like that. Like I had a couple moments in this movie like that. I thought the visuals looked great. The lipstick demon, like you said, Nico, looked a
Yes.
lot better. Definitely didn't look like Darth Maul. It was creepy as shit when he was eating his own skin. Um, I really liked some of the shots we got, the cinematography, how there's a couple times when Josh is you see someone dressed in like orange or brown and like out of focus in the background, and then it moves and they're gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
turns out, spoiler, like we said, spoiler alert. It's his dad. Like he's in the car when he drops Dalton off. You see him, or I guess it's at the funeral. You see his dad in the street behind the car, and then he's gone. And then when he's doing the memory game on the windows, he lifts it up, and there you see it, puts it back down, lifts it back up. He's there. Then he lifts it up again. He's gone, and then he comes crashing through the window for a great jump scare. I agree. This movie does have some good in that. It's just the inconsistencies. Like his dad coming towards him now, all of a sudden, 5 movies in to try to help him. Um, I don't want to get in. We're not on negatives right now. So, yeah, there are some positives. Chris Winslow, Sinclair Daniel, like you mentioned, she was fantastic. However, her character kind of threw off the vibe for me in this movie because I don't think this one needed a comedic relief. Like to me, it kind of made the movie unbalanced because everything else about it was so serious. Her character seemed out of place. She was great. She was hilarious. And I think that Sinclair Daniel acted her ass off. Like she was fantastic, but it just was a little out of place for me. So,
All right, let's jump into our negatives now, and I'll just kick us off with my biggest qualm. It just didn't have the same creepy, eerie vibe as 1 and 2. The 2 movies were sequeling. I just didn't have that sense of dread like those 2 movies have. I think honestly, Insidious 2 has one of the best scenes to me, like horror tension wise, and we'll get to that whenever we review that movie. But this one just didn't have it. And like Dustin mentioned, Sinclair, Daniel, Chris Winslow, she did do a great job. She was fantastic. But if I want comedy in an Insidious movie, I want it from Specs and Tucker and Lynn Shay, Elise Rainier. Those 3 are the foundation of this franchise throughout all 4 of them. And those 3 characters had, especially, I mean, Specs and Tucker had, they were on like a YouTube video or something like that. That's it.
yep.
Yeah.
Elise, the foundation of the franchise, honestly, she was at 3-4 minutes the whole movie. Rose Byrne, she was in less than 5 minutes. And I also really just wasn't a big fan of them being divorced. Like, why did they get divorced? And I mentioned this whenever I believe it was me and Shan did our Stranger Things season 4 reaction. Whenever a group of people have been through so much, I just don't buy it that they separate from each other. Like it's just a little like Josh and Dalton, they had their memories erased. But then shit just got weird again? Like I don't know, it didn't work for me. And at the end the jump scares got a little too predictable. And like Dustin mentioned about the rules of this movie, in Insidious 1, Dalton was in a coma for his whole year 10 of his life almost. And now Dalton can just every time he lays down to take a nap, he's in the further. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of a reach. Didn't really buy it. And honestly, about the 45-minute mark, I'm sitting in the theater. I'm thinking, I don't like this movie, and I want to like it, but I'm just like, please let the end be better. Please let the end redeem itself. and it just didn't. It was just, and then all they had to do to keep the lipstick demon out was just hold the door closed. Like that's it. It was just, I don't know, man. I do like this franchise, but I do think that, I mean, outside of the first one, no one dies really. Like there's no stakes. You know what's going to happen. There's going to be some jump scares. There's going to be some creepy moments. Then they win in the end every time. And I don't know. I feel like maybe they should have killed Josh Lambert off in this movie. I mean, maybe they should. If this is going to be the end of this franchise, they should have went on a higher mark than what it did. That's just my opinion. Brian, what were your negatives?
And I do agree. I kind of think I was expecting them to kill off Patrick Wilson's character. I really, I don't know why they didn't go that route. I guess, like you said, because it was the end, and they didn't. They wanted to go out on a positive note. I don't know. Now, see, for me, Specs and what was this? What's the other dude's name?
Tucker.
Tucker are the worst parts of 1 and 2 to me. And like I said, I didn't really. I'm not really committed to 3 and 4 at all. I don't really care about them that much. And so, even Elise to me, is it Elise Lynche?
Mm-hmm.
She just, it wasn't, I didn't miss them. So to me, it's not the foundation of it, if that makes sense. And so that's why I think I was able to enjoy this a lot more. I do agree that the atmosphere in some places and, a lot of the plot points, which, like I said, that's my biggest thing with this movie. And to steal, quote from Mike, he calls it, he says paint by numbers, and I call it a pretty cookie cutter. I mean, you knew what was coming, and I really wasn't as like invested in a plot where you're like, all right, well, how long until they figure out what we as an audience already know? We've already seen in 2 movies. We're trying to get them to remember it. Now, I forgot this in my positives, but man, that MRI machine was fucking intense for me. I was like, holy shit, I was on the edge of my seat with that one. But I mean, overall, I completely get the complaints about it. And like I said, maybe if I didn't connect with the story like I did, then I would feel the same way. But I if I walked away from the movie feeling, oh, okay, good. And I don't know if in a horror movie I have felt that way. I don't know, but I enjoyed it because of the connection. But I completely understand and agree with a lot of what you said.
So for me, first of all, Nico, you said you don't like when they've been through so much, what they're just going to separate now. I think you're underestimating how easily women get detached and just give up on relationships. But I'm kidding, I'm kidding, I'm kidding. But it just, I agree. Like I said, it's too convenient. First of all, you want to close the door. That's all you had to do was paint over the door was closed. He painted a closed door. And so you're gonna, the puking frat boy was just telling him close the door, close the door. All you had to do was paint over it. I didn't like how it did make you feel like Josh was going to die when he left, and Dalton left, and he's just sitting there, and then just, oh nope, we got to go home happy. So here comes Dad to save the day. Here, take this lantern, and Josh, you go wake up. I just didn't work for me. I don't know. I can't put my finger on. I texted you, Nico, when I was in the theater, and I said this movie sucks. And you said you were disappointed. I said I was an hour in, and so you said 45 minutes is when you realized you didn't like it. It was around that time, 45 minutes to an hour, and I was like, man, I just don't like this. It doesn't feel like I should care about this movie. Well, so maybe disappointing is the right word.
A couple other things I didn't really like is Carl at the very beginning. He's an integral part of Insidious 2, not in the movie at all. What was the fucking point of that figure walking towards Josh's rear window? Like, what was that?
Yeah, well, that
Just
was his dad,
and it
and
just went away.
that's
And then,
another
Yeah,
thing. Oh, go ahead.
it
I'm
was
sorry.
it follows. He was following him.
oh, hey, that's a great movie. What was you gonna say, Dustin?
No, I just remember something. So you mentioned how at the first of the movie, like it starts happening to Josh. Another thing that doesn't make like it didn't make sense to me is why are we just now? It starts happening to both of them at the same time. Like Dalton's, I understand because he had to tap into that memory when his teacher told him tap into a deep memory. She counted backwards. Boom, he's in. He's unlocking stuff. What the hell happened to Josh? Like, yeah, I get it. His mom
Well,
died.
he was training himself, right? Like I thought that's why I got like that was why he was unlocking stuff is because he was training his memory to remember, like they told him to.
Well, didn't the shit start happening before he was training his memory though? Because
Yeah, because at the funeral and stuff, yeah,
at the
you're
funeral we
right.
saw his dad in the background there,
Yeah.
and so it was already starting to approach him there before he even started to train his mind. And it just what the fuck? What's the logic? That's what I'm talking about. The rules of this shit. Just I don't know.
Another qualm I told Brian earlier that I didn't like was the fact that his dad's name was Benjamin Burton. It made me think of Benjamin Button the whole time. It's like
It
change
is
the
a
damn
curious
name
place.
up. And something else I really didn't understand is like, what was the point of the frat boy demon? Did that make any sense?
No, no,
I didn't think so either. Just
yeah.
I was like, man, what the fuck? And while Chris was a good character, is she really gonna hang out with Dalton like this? I mean, if you go on Twitter, every time and they say, nope, that's white people stuff. Mm-mm. Black people ain't gonna deal with that shit. They out of there.
Yeah, that's true. But she also seemed like a very like nerdy girl that probably didn't have a lot of. She didn't strike me as the kind that had a lot of friends. So, but was
Fair
also an
enough.
extrovert. So I could see how she latch on to someone after spending an hour with him, getting to know him a little bit. But
I
I
got
did
you. I
like
got you.
something that did crack me up though was when they were in Nick the Dick's room, and he's is someone in my room, and he opens the door so she kisses him, and she was like, we're looking for somewhere to do it. Like just the way she said it, that was kind of funny.
That was good improv. All right. I mean, is there anything else y'all want to deep dive into? I mean, for instant reaction, I feel like we've gotten our positives and generals out there. Any final thoughts, Dustin?
No, I mean, I told you guys this when I went to see it. I did a double feature, and I didn't know what the second movie was going to be. It was a Mystery Monday. Regal does a Mystery Monday where they show something that's not released yet. You don't know what it is, and I saw two horror movies that night. It was this one, and they pre-screened Talk to Me. If you have to choose between this one and Talk to Me, watch Talk to Me twice.
Hell yeah, bro. A24. Brian, final thoughts?
No, just I liked it. I mean, go see it. Go give it a shot. Either way, I mean, you're either gonna or wait on it to come on streaming, whatever. But I mean, give it a shot. I mean, make your own opinion.
Yeah,
We're always torn on this show, and we all have
Yeah.
different tastes. So I empathize with a part of this that who would have thought that I would have. So you never know. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, like we always say, watch the movie yourself, form your own opinion. We're just three regular guys, just like you listeners are. We're nobody special. We all got regular jobs. This isn't our job, and we're not pompous assholes who think our opinions are the end all be all. We love interacting with our fans. We love differing opinions. We love reading your opinions. We thank you for listening and supporting us so much. Can't lie. I've seen a lot of horror, and I'm getting off subject here, but I've seen a lot of horror podcasts since we started this show. Start their show and then stop, take big seasonal breaks, never come back. It's a grind doing this every week, but
Yeah.
it's a highlight of our show. It's the highlight of my week, even though if it is a grind, it gives me an opportunity to hang out with my buddies. We really appreciate the support, the kind words, the encouragement. Definitely keeps the gas in the tank for us, even when, I mean, there are some episodes where it's like, God, I'm just ready to go to bed or I'm just not in the mood. But man, these guys, they keep me inspired. I just want to thank them and thank our listeners. Go check out Insidious, The Red Door in theaters, or like Brian said, wait for streaming. Form your own opinion, and we would love to chat with you about it whenever we do review it someday down the road. Y'all have a good one, and don't go out there.